the Liberal MP from Don Valley North, who called for his Conservative MP rival, Joey Tay, to be kidnapped and taken to the Chinese consulate, has now stepped down. Next, 14 of Canada's largest energy companies listed out their 5 demands that they want from every party. And Pierre Poilievre presented that in today's press conference. And lastly, we are going to dive in deeply to Mark Carney's housing plan. This on today's episode, folks. Come on in. This is Niagara due North. Da, da, da. Da, 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 da. Did it. So good morning, everybody. I'm your host, Parmesan. Welcome to the show, and I am abroad again today, guys, because I work non-stop to bring you the most compelling analysis. Today, I am in my bedroom. So over the weekend, let's just recap it. Paul Chang asks his constituents, offers his constituents 1 million Hong Kong dollars to bring his conservative opponent to the Chinese consulate to be taken back to China, which Pierre Poilievre says could most likely be executed. That's not okay. And we all know that. So, Mark Carney gets blasted yesterday. I showed the video of it. By every reporter there. This was the biggest story of the day. Still is, folks. Don't let this die off. This is now what Melissa Lantsman has to say about that.
Mr. Roberts just said is that we should focus on other things, that parties are making a big deal out of this. Canadians should take this seriously. It is a dangerous, dangerous thing to suggest that you should take a bounty out on another Canadian citizen, threaten their lives. This is completely disqualifying, and it actually speaks to Mark Carney's judgment. If Mark Carney can't stand up to Paul Chang, how is Mark Carney going to stand up for any Canadian? If this is what's allowed in their caucus, when a man's life is already threatened, and somebody goes out and says, "I'm going to take, why don't you turn over this guy to the regime's consulate here, Beijing's consulate here in Toronto for cash. Why don't you kidnap him and take him there?" That is a disqualifying statement for any individual, but particularly for a sitting MP.
Right. Fully agreed with that. This is something that should be taken very seriously. It's typical globalist. Right? Globalists tend to be communists. Look at his style. He does not like democracy. It's typical for him to brush that off as not a big deal. Right? Think about all the stuff that he's seen in his lifetime. He's rode on a lot of airplanes. Okay? That dude's probably seen some crazy shit. Which ties us into my next story. A couple highlights from Pierre Poilievre's rally. Pierre Poilievre touches on the stepping down of Paul Chang.
Just yesterday, we saw those conflicts play out when he refused to remove Paul Chang, a Liberal candidate who had said that a Canadian Conservative candidate should be turned over on a bounty to the Chinese government that wants to imprison or possibly even kill him because he is a political dissident. Mr. Carney said that Mr. Chang could stay on as a candidate. It wasn't until midnight when we found out the police were involved, because it is a potential criminal offense, that the candidate stepped aside himself, not being pushed out by Carney, but because he decided on his own.
So that's how I heard that. I was watching Pierre's thing this morning, and he blurts that out, and I'm like, oh, okay. So the guy's gone now. That's good. It's kind of not good. I'd rather the scandal to stay around, but I mean, it's a win-win. They're going to have to find another person for that riding, and he probably is not allowed to be Chinese in the public eye. Don Valley North, folks, has a very large population of Chinese dissidents. China wants control over the Don Valley North specifically, so it can control its political dissidents. That's why we have Chinese police stations here. In the next segment, guys, in this next one, guys, Pierre lays out the top 14 companies in the energy sector and their demands for all of the party leaders, regardless of who wins. This is their demands, this is their ultimatums, and this is what Pierre says will lift the reliance on the United States. Mind you, it's just going to allow them to grow.
Let's get very specific. The energy companies themselves, the 14 biggest of them, wrote all of us a letter. Every national leader, conservative, liberal, NDP, Green Bloc, wrote us all a letter with 5 demands. They said, either you do these 5 things or we will not be able to grow and break our dependence on the Americans. They're very specific. 1, repeal the No New Pipelines law and the tanker ban so that we can ship our resources to non-American markets. I voted against C-69. I have always been against C-69. I've said I will repeal C-69, the No New Pipelines liberal law, within 60 days of becoming Prime Minister. Mark Carney supported C-69, and he had a week after he became leader to recall Parliament to repeal it, as I demanded, but he did not. So their position is clear.
So Pierre brought with him a giant sign, a giant checklist. It's really funny. Just because he's in Atlantic Canada. It's because he's in Atlantic Canada and his numbers are doing so bad there. This guy brought in a huge sign. Check it out.
Second, it now takes, after the lost Liberal decade, it now takes 17 years to get a mine approved, while other countries do it in mere months. We can protect our environment and our population, but do it quickly. Why does it take, what do you learn in year 16 that you couldn't have learned in the 4th month of a review? That's why I have announced I am committed to the Build Canada demand to reduce wait times for permits to 6 months. Mr. Carney continues to support the reckless bureaucratic regime that takes many years and even decades. So again, on that front, the decision is very clear. Next, the cap. The Liberals have imposed an energy cap. This will prevent our industry from growing and even force it to shrink in size because the policy is to reduce the output of the industry. I have said I oppose the energy cap. Just last week, Mr. Carney and his environment minister said they will keep it in place. So again, the choice is clear. After a lost Liberal decade, do you want to keep in place an energy cap by electing the Liberals to a 4th term, or do you want to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will scrap the cap? And then we have the carbon tax, the famous carbon tax. You know, up until about 2 months ago, the Liberals said that if we didn't have a carbon tax, the whole planet would be lit aflame. They
like, that's just really funny, man. It's like how we need the hand and the walking person rather than the walk and don't walk. Like, but this is a long segment. I can't go into it very deeply because I want to take you through the housing plan that Mark Carney has. You see that thumbnail? Because I really, really hope you want to live in one of those. This segment goes on for a while. Okay, and he talks about, here are the 5 things: the tanker ban, 6-month approvals, scrap the cap, Axley industrial carbon tax, and Indigenous loan guarantees. And I swear to God, I swear, the companies either didn't do it or the party got the companies to do it, because that's really funny, man. That's a very political thing there, right? But it's funny that he just brought this gigantic prop so easily to like explain something so simple. Next, folks, we have today's top story. So Mark Carney shows up. Mark Carney hasn't lived in Canada for God at least 10 years. How does he know we're in a crisis? How does he get to say that this is the biggest crisis of our lifetime if he's a globalist banker that hasn't lived in Canada for 10 years? Handlers around him telling him that? What's their proof? Okay, yeah, housing's bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm going to take you over all of the policies that this includes. Okay? He's going to have municipal development charges for 5 years. We're going to find out what that is. Create a federal agency. That's not good. He says he's going to build 500,000 houses a year. He's not building that until year 10. It's going to take him 10 years to get to the 500,000 houses a year. That federal agency is going to be a developer and is going to take on some of the responsibilities from the existing Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC. That sounds really scary. He's going to waive the GST for first-time homebuyers. And folks, let's check out Grok. Alright, so don't get your panties in a bunch, okay? I used it the same way anyone else would use any other AI. You can put this into any other AI. You're going to get the exact same result. I don't want to hear any crap about using Grok. I asked, how much does it cost to build a house in each province in Canada? Quick, guys. We're not working hard here, okay? Quick. Example. BC, 2,000 square foot home to build, guys. 370 to 640,000. Alberta, to build a 2,000 square foot home. $230 to $330,000. With land costs adding $150,000 depending on location. Saskatchewan, real cheap. That's cool. It's like the exact invert from Alberta. Yeah. Saskatchewan, 2,000 square foot home, range from 240 to 320,000. So this is pretty crazy. Let's go to Ontario's really bad, man. 130 to 300. Right, that pushes homes from 260 to 600, with prices adding 500,000 plus in urban zones. Land in Ontario is enormous. So we can go through this. So it looks like, let's go a median through all of it. Let's go $300,000 a house. Okay? Every province dips their toes into $300,000. A lot of them lower. But unfortunately, what's Ontario and Quebec? Let's go to 80,000. Okay, he's got $35 billion a year. Hang on, let me get this in the screen here. $35 billion a year. That's gonna get us 35,000 million 35 billion. 9 zeros. It's hard to keep track of all the zeros. Divide that by 280,000. has 125,000 houses a year. Right? 125,000 houses a year. We need to get 4 times that. We need to get 4 times that. We need to quadruple that. So how are we going to quadruple that? Well, how about we take this number right here and we divide that by 4. And then maybe that's the size of everyone's apartment. And we'll give them a benefit of a doubt too, because he's got other stipulations that he's going to do. So how about we do that? I hope you liberals like what future you're going to leave all your grandkids. There's a lot of you old fuckers out there that are going to vote for this guy. I really hope that you guys understand what you're getting your kids involved in. 600 square feet. We know how socialism works, guys. Everyone's not going to be living in a 600 square foot bedroom. Okay? It's going to be 600 square foot, or it's going to be maybe 400 square foot per person. $10. Wait, let's go. How big is the average bachelor apartment? Yep. In Canada, a bachelor apartment typically consists of one room. A living room is your bedroom, sleeping kitchen, bathroom. Across the country, the average size of a bachelor or studio apartment, for those in America, fall between 300 and 600 square feet, with most clustering around 400 to 500 square feet. There you have it, folks. You guys are getting giant skyscrapers full of 400 square foot apartments per person, obviously. We will have our 3-bedroom, 1,200 square foot family sized dwellings, right? And they're going to be right above your train station. And you can take that train station to go get your groceries. Your 3 bags of groceries for your entire 5-person family, and you will be getting groceries for the rest of your life. You will have no other time or anything or even space to do anything else but that. That's what I have for you today, folks. I'm a big guy in the housing conspiracy market, so if you want to hear some crazy housing conspiracies for what the future has in store for us, why don't you hit that subscribe button down below. I'm your host, Parmesan, and this is Niagara Due North, guys. Thank you so much for making it this far in the video.